today's videos. This is Bree Kuhlman from the Dickinson County Nature Center. So I had a request from some of my friends in Colorado, Chloe and Cole, and they requested I go on an animal hunt. But as you guys know, some of our favorite wild animals are very elusive and they are very hard to see sometimes, especially when you're wanting to find them, record them, and see them in the wild. So I thought I would give you some tips and tricks on what to look for when you're out on your next adventure. So like I said, a lot of our wild animal friends, they're very elusive. Elusive means sneaky. They like to keep to themselves. So a lot of times when you're out in the wild, we don't get to see the animals themselves. However, it is always fun to know what kind of animals are in certain habitats. And a lot of times they leave behind hints of who has been there or what is going there. So today we have a really fun trackscape right behind me, and it shows a lot of different footprints. It shows a lot of different tracks of a lot of our animals that you see here commonly in Iowa, but even my friends in Colorado have a lot of these same species. So no worries, you can still find these tracks in Colorado if you're listening from Wisconsin, maybe you're in Oregon. A lot of these animals are common throughout the United States, so you don't have to think, oh, I don't live in Iowa, I can't find these animals. So some of the animals we're going to talk about a little bit, or we're going to find the tracks of and some of their signs, is we're going to see if you guys can find the coyote track. Everyone knows what a coyote looks like. These guys are the king of adaptation. They can switch their breeding habits, their diets. They can switch the kind of environments they want to live in. They're so successful that a lot of times you can find urban coyotes. So that means coyotes in the city. But they also can be found in grasslands and the forests, and they can be found throughout the whole United States. So this is a coyote, and their tracks look really similar to dog tracks. So a lot of times when we're out walking at the nature center, people will get excited. Oh, they found a coyote track. Most likely it's a dog. However, depending on the area you're in, you most likely will see coyote tracks because, like I said, they're the king of adaptation. So these are the tracks right here. So let's see if you guys can I spy before I point them out. I'm going to count to 5 in my head, and let's see if you guys can point out the coyote tracks. Are they on this side of the river or this side of the river? All right, did you find them? All right, here they are right here, guys. The coyote tracks start right here, all the way back there, and they come all the way to the front. Do you see any other sign of coyotes? So we see their tracks on our track guide right here. What other things could coyotes leave behind? Let's see here. Did they leave behind their scat? So knowing how to ID scat and tracks is one of the key things to being able to know what kind of wildlife are in your area. So right here we have a coyote scat that they left on the trail. Oh, that's so tricky. So here's 2 things you can look for. Their tracks right here and their scat. And if you find their scat and tracks next to one another, chances are a coyote has been in that area. So there's one thing. We'll put that back on our trackscape. And just to kind of show you guys, coyotes have really thick, dense fur to help protect them from the elements, especially when they live in colder environments in the winter, so they can grow extra fur in the winter. So this is a coyote pelt, and like I said, they're really thick fur. So let's see, what's another unique animal we have on our trackscape, guys? Can you guys ID anything? Should we do this one next? I think we'll do this one next. This one is my friend the beaver. So these guys can be found along riverways quite often because they like to create dams and dens. So they usually live in a group or a colony. And they leave behind a lot of signs. If you look on the riverbanks and you look on stream banks, you can usually find either trees that are nicely pointed and fell down, or you can sometimes find sticks like this, or if they didn't knock the whole tree down yet, you could see where they're working on it. You'll see chew marks around the base of trees, but they are really good at eating around until it's very narrow and the tree falls down then. So this is a stick we found along the stream. If you go and look near trees, a lot of times you can see the wood chips they left behind. So big shavings of wood chips from their teeth. Their teeth grow continually through their whole life, but they're continually filed down by munching on things like wood. And they are so strong, they're actually iron plated to make sure they stay strong and don't break so that they can continue to make their dams and dens. So here is that. You don't always see beavers swimming around in the daytime because they are nocturnal, but so this is a good animal where you can find the signs of a beaver. So they have a really unique footprint. They have webbed feet to help them maneuver through the water. So their footprint looks like this. They're not individually fingered, but you can see the tops of their nails if you look on the banks. So that's their footprint, and this is their footprint right here. So this little guy waddled out to the water, and it left behind a sign too. So this would be beaver scat. So if you look on stream banks where they've been working aggressively, sometimes you'll be lucky enough to find scat. So if you find this and maybe this track right here, chances are that there are beavers that live there. Or you can look on the waterway and see if you can see their dens mounded up in the waterway. So this is an American beaver. And as you can see here, I have a beaver pelt. This is the winter pelt. It has 2 layers of fur, and their fur is really soft and slick. It helps the water to be able to run off once they get into their den so they don't stay wet. So this is a beaver. Let's see here. Our next friend. Let's see. Should we just stay over here? Does anyone know what this is? Right here, waddling through there. Think of a little ground bird. So we have pheasants in our area. They're not native to Iowa, however, they've been here for so long that they have become part of our ecosystem. However, pheasants have these nice small tracks. Turkeys have a similar track print, however, it's a lot larger. So if you see 3 prongs that are fairly long, that's most likely turkey prints. However, the ones we have here are pheasants. So this is what a pheasant looks like. You can see those in the spring of the year or the winter. You can see them flying across the roadways and on the roadways eating corn and different things like that. So we're going to move over to this side, and we have a lot of fun animals taking advantage of this side of our stream. So one of my favorite creatures, I would say next to a hippopotamus, is a squirrel. I like red squirrels, I like gray squirrels, I like fox squirrels. They are a humorous creature. A lot of people view them as pets because they eat siding and they move into garages and things of that nature. But I have a soft spot for the squirrels because they're mischievous and they like to climb things, and that's a lot of my personality, to be honest. I love to climb trees. I love to climb up rocks, and I'm slightly mischievous once in a while. I'm mostly well behaved. And this guy, he left behind some scat too. So these are nice little squirrel pellets. They kind of look like combination of Cocoa Puffs and like those chocolate pebbly fruits with the Flintstones on them. I'm not sure what those are called. Cocoa Pebbles, I bet. So they're kind of the size between that. So not quite small enough to be a Cocoa Pebble and not quite round enough to be a Cocoa Puff. So they look like that. So if you ever see this, you'll know a squirrel is around. And then they have a unique footprint, just like that. You can usually see their fingers in their prints. Squirrels aren't very bashful. A lot of times you'll see them running around in different landscapes. If you go out to the nature center for a walk, chances are if you go in the Burr Oak Savannah, You will see a number of squirrels. You may even see squirrels in your neighborhood. I know I live in Sanborn, and we even have some black squirrels running around, which is a mutation because usually our squirrels are supposed to be like a reddy brown. So we have squirrels right here. They're running off through here, and he left his scat behind, so he started here, and then he zigzagged out. And squirrels, if you've ever watched them, they do like to zigzag around on the ground before they climb the tree. So another common animal we have here, running through the landscape right here, is that of a white-tailed deer. So white-tailed deer have this unique print. You see these almost everywhere, but maybe you didn't know what it was. So this is a white-tailed deer footprint right here. And they also, I think, our white-tailed deer left behind some scat. Yeah. Oh, this one right here. So there's some scat of some deer. If you're ever out in the wild, this is pretty prevalent to find as well. So if you see these two things together, most likely you found a white-tailed deer. So their scat is just very small. You'd think it might be a little larger for such a large animal. However, they eat grass exclusively, so once it gets processed down, it's pretty tiny. So that's a white-tailed deer. And then, let's see here, what else do we have? Oh, we have another wonderful animal. Usually you see these dodge right in front of you, and all you see is that little fluffy tail. And that is going to be a rabbit, a cottontail rabbit, right here. So on our trackscape, the deer right here and the rabbit kind of look similar. However, if you look closely and you compare the two, the size is going to be drastically different. However, since we use this for a lot of different things at the nature center, we made them a little larger just so kiddos can see it. So this is the rabbit track in real life size. Well, maybe not in real life size, but and then this is the deer track. So in real life, they look substantially different, but I'm not sure the camera view of it. So this is our deer, and then these are our rabbit tracks. So, and then of course you see these all over too. So this is our rabbit scat as well. So if you see these two things together, you probably have a white-tailed rabbit near you. If you ever look in like brush piles or things like that, you may have rabbit homes in there. A lot of times you will see them in the day, but they are so quick, they will dodge right across you, and all you'll see is the tail. So if you're the front person on your hike, it's probably the best place to be so you can see all the animals. So I want to thank you guys for listening a little bit about how you find wildlife, learning a little bit about the scat and the tracks of our local wildlife. I want you guys to make your very own trackscape. Now, it doesn't need to be this large, of course, but you guys can research the different tracks online, just like this, and you guys can make your own trackscape. And during that trackscape, you can learn to tell a story. So I'm going to tell a story of our squirrel friend right now. So all animals need food, water, shelter, and space. So our squirrel, he is running, darting to the water. He grabbed a drink of water, and then he darted off, and he climbed up a big oak tree. So that's his story. So he came to get his water, and then he darted up his big oak tree. So he needed to live in his home, and he needed water. However, what was this coyote doing? So he looks like he's prowling down the riverway. He's maybe looking for something to eat. So our coyote friends are omnivores. So they eat berries, and they eat mice, and they will eat pheasants, and they will eat eggs. So they are really an opportunistic eater. They are an omnivore. So they will eat anything that's in front of them because, like I said, they're the king of adaptation. So maybe he is wandering up and down the riverway looking for a tasty snack. So maybe he's looking for berries, or maybe he saw the pheasant and he's looking for that. Coyotes can also swim and cross riverways. They're known to swim and maybe even take up residence on islands. So maybe he was thinking about crossing my riverway and seeing if he could visit the deer or the squirrels or maybe the rabbits. So trackscapes can tell you a lot about an ecosystem. And looking for these things can tell you a lot about your ecosystem. So I want you guys to, one, make your own trackscape and tell the story of your ecosystem. And two, I want to see if you guys can get out and find signs of wildlife. You can do that just in your backyard. And look for tracks or signs of wildlife. Because like I said, squirrels are fairly common, rabbits are common, white-tailed deer are common in cities. So I encourage you guys to get out. And I want you also to use a little bit of your art skills to make a trackscape and tell a story. So thank you for listening and have a great day.